Hello and welcome back, and that is right. Today I want to help you decide between the Synology BeeStation and Synology Diskstation. It's something we've talked about on the channel recently, and now that the Synology BeeStation is on the verge of release, or maybe you're watching this and the device has launched, there's going to be a number of you making that tippy-toe step away from public cloud, away from the likes of WD MyCloud or other NAS vendors out there, and are thinking about opting for the Synology BeeStation as your new private cloud device. And in this video, I'm going to go through the differences between them in terms of design, in terms of hardware, in terms of price, in terms of software, and at the end, help you decide which one's best for you. But straight away, between these two devices, we have to at least acknowledge they are different target markets. These are two devices that repeatedly in this video, you are going to hear examples of why one of them is designed for stress-free, easy to use private NAS cloud use, where you get to have your very own Google Drive, your very own Dropbox running in your home or office that could be set up within 2 minutes, that has zero stress, zero technology required, and even includes the storage media. You plug it in, it's good to go. This is designed for people that know how much their time is worth, and apparently their time is worth $199. More on that later. These, on the other hand, are Synology Diskstation devices. They vary in case-by-case basis, and we are specifically looking at devices like the DS124, the DS223, the DS223j, and the DS423 to a lesser degree. All of these devices have got the same hardware caliber that this does, just scaling up throughout those families. However, they also arrive with a significantly higher price tag in terms of percentages, and they do not arrive with the storage media pre-installed. You've got to buy your storage media, you've got to choose, you've got to research, you've got to install it, you've got to set it up. Setting up a traditional Synology NAS system can take anywhere from 15 minutes all the way through to hours, depending on the complexity of your storage, the complexity of the RAID, the complexity of your shared folders and account setup, installing applications, and more. This is designed with a higher, I hate seagulls, learning curve in mind. These are devices that are designed for users that either already have some tech knowledge or are prepared to learn some tech knowledge, or in larger cases, you've got a system admin in-house or a friendly relative who knows his way around a screwdriver and the internet. My point is, this is for people who don't mind getting their hands a little bit tech dirty. And if that sounds like you, you might want to leave this video now. But for now, let's move on to price. How much you intend on spending on either a Synology BeeStation or a Synology Diskstation, although it shouldn't be the defining reason you buy either one of these two devices, I think it is going to play its part, and understandably, because the Synology Diskstation series has been around as long as it has, pricing is a great deal more flexible, not only because some devices have been in the market longer, but also because there's different variations of that hardware configuration that we've already talked about. For example, all of these systems here arrive with a very similar level of base CPU and memory hardware. The most direct comparison is this, the DS124 arriving with the same CPU, the same memory, and a $179 price tag. Remember, that doesn't include your tax. Now, on top of that, you've got larger options. This is the J series. This has got 1 gig of memory in that same CPU, but it's a 2-bay model. That means 2 drives, and it costs just a fraction more. Same goes with the DS223. This is a unit that's largely identical to the 2-bay I just showed you, but it has 2 gig of memory. Hell, there's even a 4-bay version out there as well. But if we really zoom in and focus on just those two devices here, $179 and $189, that's kind of the base level price tag we're going for there. But bear in mind, that does not include the hard drive. The BeeStation has a hard drive inside. We have to factor that in. The WD Iron Wolf drive is $99, or you can go for WD's entry as well, and the WD hard drive will set you back $112. Again, that's on offer, and that doesn't include your local tax. But what's interesting, as you can see there, is Synology's own hard drive. Now, in the US, pricing is a little bit mix depending on which retailer you go for, but in the UK it retails for 97 quid including the tax. That means that if we were trying to do a straight comparison, call it $99 for that Synology 4TB hard drive, that would mean that you would be spending $179 plus that extra $99, or if you went for the 2-bay, a little bit more. Now, put that into comparison, the BeeStation, at the time of recording this video, because the system doesn't launch until the start of March, but at least now recording this at the start of February, the device is actually available in many retailers for pre-order, which is probably a good thing when it comes to pre-orders personally. But when you use Synology's own site there to look at regions, there are some places out there where you can get hold of this. One of the earliest examples is some of the Taiwanese websites we found here for 7,499 Taiwanese dollars, which equates to approximately 230 to 240 pounds. Again, when you go into dollars, it's largely the same, and that includes local tax as well. So again, that original price tag listed on many websites, lots of reviews including our own, of $199 for the base system without tax is fairly accurate. And what that comes down to is, if you are looking for the lowest price device, it's definitely the BeeStation. The BeeStation is the lower price device. It's got the same hardware as the $179 device there on the left of the screen, but it's rocking out with that 4TB inside. Same CPU, same memory. But just bear in mind that you can't change that drive. At least with these devices, you have that flexibility of the drive that you're going to be putting inside. And I think that's important because we now need to talk about that hardware. We've already began touching on the hardware of these two devices, but I think drilling down even more into it, you can see that Synology have made very conscious choices here to differentiate the Diskstation that's been around for 20 to 25 years and the new BeeStation. First and foremost, we've already touched on the inclusive hard drive, the fact that this arrives with that hard drive inside there. So there's no mucking around, there's no need to go ahead and start taking the device apart and slamming in different hard drives into those trays there. It's so straightforward. Arriving with front mounted LED there, ventilation on the top and the base, no means to withdraw the drive, and on the rear we've got a gigabit network connection there and two USB 3.2 Gen 1 ports in Type A and Type C, both of which giving you up to 5 gigabits per second. You can attach USBs to that for additional storage, external storage, or you can use it as USB backup either on a file folder level or back up the whole system onto that USB. There's even cloud synchronization too. Now, none of these are new concepts. All of the things I just described are possible with the 1 and 2 bay versions of the Synology Diskstation series. Some of them arriving with 3 USB ports, one on the front, 2 on the back, but in most cases 2. Again, USB 3.2 Gen 1, but all Type A with no Type C there. Also, with the exception of the 4 bay model, all of them have a single gigabit network connection there as well. So there's no real gain in terms of the actual connections on the Synology Diskstation 1 and 2 bays compared with that of that little BeeStation device there. It's pretty much all parity. Indeed, at least the BeeStation does it while being smaller, includes the hard drive, and arrives with USB Type-C, a little bit more modern there. But there is a reason why this is bigger. There is a reason why even the 2 bay or the 4 bay are going to be desirable, and that's to do with RAID. We've already touched on it, and we will touch on it more in the software section, but having multiple drives inside a NAS system allows it to have simultaneous read and write actions at any given time. That increases the performance internally and therefore increases the performance, but it also increases the storage potential, and it also allows you to have redundancy. That means that if one drive dies, if you have 2 drives in there and you've got them in a RAID 1 where they're mirroring one another, seriously, the seagulls are losing their mind today. If one of the drives dies, then you still have your data. The data is still on the disk. Now, that is not a backup. That is redundancy. It is a safety net. It would still be incredibly important that you have a USB backup or a cloud backup or a NAS to NAS backup in place, not just relying on RAID, as that is, again, a safety net. But that is an advantage that is just not present currently on the BeeStation. Arriving with only a single drive means that if that drive fails, your data is gone. Again, cloud, USB backup. There isn't NAS to NAS backup currently, which is annoying, or NAS to rsync or RTRR server if you want to get technical. But yeah, that one drive in there is problematic. Also, when it comes to the hardware configuration, we have to at least acknowledge that notwithstanding that some of these systems like the DS223 have got more memory, although they've got the same CPU, which is fine, these systems allow us flexibility in the drives that we buy. This allows you to buy this device at $199 with 4 TB of storage. That's your lot. You can't increase it, you can't replace it, you can't use a non-Synology drive. You are locked in day one to day the end, 4 TB of storage. This, on the other hand, yes, it doesn't arrive with drives, but that means you can get a 2-bay, stick one drive in it, add another drive later. You don't have to get 4 TB, you can get 1 TB, 2 TB, 10 TB, 20 TB. The point I'm making is the flexibility and even the ability to add and replace those drives with larger drives later, at least in the case of the 2-bay, is simply not possible on BeeStation. It is a system with a relatively low glass ceiling in terms of scalability, but of course in terms of software as well, we'll touch on that in a moment. What you can do with a system that's got multiple drives inside is actually a lot more than a single drive, because a lot of these drives don't play nice with multiple operations. But let's actually talk about that software and the difference between BeeStation and Diskstation, or in this case BSM and DSM. Discussing the software and services of the BeeStation and Diskstation system is going to be a little bit more complex than just one has more features than the other. It actually goes in a great deal more than that, and I've done a whole video directly comparing both of these software platforms in quite phenomenal detail, going through all the individual differences, what they got in common, what they don't, what they can do, and ultimately helping you decide which one's better for your needs. So linked in the description, hopefully live by now, is that full comparison of BeeStation and DSM, and the apps, services, file management, multimedia, mobile apps. It's all included in that video for you to check out. But when it comes to comparing them both, I think the big key differences between them come down to two factors: feature set and the extent to which you can use them. And understandably, and you probably know where this is going by now, on the Synology side, you can simply do more. There is a higher learning curve. You will need to be able to, learn a little bit more, spend a bit more time understanding networking and storage. Not too much, but you definitely need to start climbing a learning curve that is just not present on the BeeStation. To put it into perspective, the sheer range of services available on even the more modest DS124 on the left-hand side of the screen is absolutely huge. There is more app support and more diversity of use. They've now integrated container utilization on a number of their Realtek powered systems. But when it comes to the BeeStation, BeeStation does a small number of things very, very well. It does photo backups for iOS and Android. It does file management, file access, cloud synchronization, file folder, object level storage, that kind of thing. All of which can be managed and synchronized with your local client PC or Mac system, or with your mobile devices. All of that in a simplified, streamlined interface. Something you're probably going to love if what you're looking for is simplified storage. However, that does come with certain downsides, and what some of those main downsides can come down to customization, wanting to open certain kinds of files, run certain processes, take advantage of Synology's key applications such as Synology Surveillance Station, Synology Drive, the entirety of the collaboration suite with email server handling, communication with chat, Synology Office, things that may well be integrated into Synology BeeStation later on, but right now at launch are not integrated into that, and it will lead to a more limited limited experience. The same goes for backups. The Synology Diskstation devices that we've discussed have a better and higher degree of customization to their backup management and synchronization, supporting many more cloud platforms than BeeStation. BeeStation supports 4. There's Microsoft OneDrive, Google Drive and Dropbox, and of course Synology's own C2, whereas on Diskstation it supports something like 12 to 15. And on top of that, integrating a lot of those apps and services a great deal better as well. There's even more client tools as well when you go to download areas where you can download significantly more tools for your Mac or Windows, iOS or Android system. And some of the desktop utilities are genuinely groundbreaking and just phenomenal first-party tools. Whereas on BeeStation, you only have 1 desktop tool at the moment and 2 mobile tools in BeeFiles and BeePhotos. On the Synology, you have loads, and it's just that degree of flexibility and customization. Yes, it arrives with a learning curve, but you just have a better degree of software experience at your disposal. Now, the last thing I want to touch on with regards to software is capability and scalability. In the case of the Diskstation devices, you can support so many more users at any given time. Now, bear in mind, we are talking about DSM, the software. It will differ from system to system, more on that in a moment. But even when you go to the specifications for, say, the DS223j, the DS223, or that DS124, you can see that it supports up to 200 SMB concurrent users. SMB being local Windows network devices, and of course AFP and FTP, the likes of Linux servers, and of course Mac integration as well into your Finder file manager there. But on top of that, it supports up to 1024 local users, and again, those local users have got their own access credentials. They can create their own share protocols, and different applications do have different levels of concurrent simultaneous usage, but they're still pretty darn good. Now, once you compare that versus the BeeStation supports up to 8 simultaneous users. 8. That's 8 active accounts. Now, bear in mind that 8 isn't the total number of simultaneous processes across the whole device. You can have multiple different synchronizations, multiple different file services at any given time. Now, the extent to which you can reach, Synology don't detail on their general specifications. I'm willing to bet it will be hundreds. There will be the potential to run hundreds of different processes within the boundaries of those 8 simultaneous users that can work with the system. However, in experimentation and testing, and one of the earliest criticisms that I had in my review on an overall generally quite nice product is I just kept getting this warning. BeeStation is actively organising your data. It may take more time to load pages and perform operations. The reason that's a pain in the bum is it happened a lot. Now, in its defence, we are talking about a system with a 4 TB mechanical hard drive. Therefore, hard drives, unlike SSDs, which are designed for actions, input, output, IOPS, ultimately allowing simultaneous operations to be handled together, whereas on a hard drive, things are far more sequential and can become overloaded and oversaturated quickly. This all adds up to a system running on a storage media that is prone to being overworked very easily. And even if this system can support hundreds of simultaneous actions on it within those 8 users, a single 4 TB hard drive is going to be a terrible format to run multiple operations at once. Whereas in the case of the Diskstation devices, you have flexibility. You can go for enterprise grade hard drives. You can go for SATA SSDs. And you have the option for larger scale devices. This is something that may change later when Synology build upon the BeeStation series and perhaps integrate 2 and 4 bay devices into that family. But this all adds up to not only a far more detailed and feature-rich software experience on the Diskstation side and on BeeStation, but also a greater degree of control and scalability in how many simultaneous operations you can run at once, and the control you have over improving all of them at once. Because don't forget, these are both product families running on the same CPU with the same amount of memory in most cases, with just a few examples of 2 gig of memory on the Diskstation. And when we utilized the DS223, when we utilized the DS223j, and when we utilized the DS124, we did not see the slowdown that we saw periodically appearing as we saw on the BeeStation. Again, this may be improved with optimization. This may be improved later on with a more feature-rich experience and better storage media options built into it. But right now, at least as far as software goes, as long as you're happy to put in the extra time and learn, you will definitely get more out of Diskstation than BeeStation in the majority of cases. It probably won't come as a tremendous surprise to know that in the end, choosing between these two is a case of simplicity versus capability. The Synology BeeStation system, I cannot stress enough how straightforward it is. And if what you are looking for is a featured private cloud system that is actually feeling modern, that actually seemingly makes you feel like you have got your own Google Drive, your own Dropbox, AI photo recognition, USB synchronization, remote access to it anywhere in the world, no additional hidden costs, just one payment and you are in and you've got everything. The BeeStation is a phenomenal proposition to those users. Add to that the simplicity and the zero need for any kind of complexity. Even setting the device up was a 4-year-old could set this up, and I mean that. Ultimately, this comes down to being a solution for a very specific kind of user that has better things to do with their time. But when it comes to the Diskstation series, there's no denying the scalability of storage, the choice of that storage, the scalability of the hardware in many cases. Also, the capabilities of the software. Synology have been refining DSM for literally decades, and what these systems can do, even with this modest hardware set between these two devices, is chalk and cheese. From surveillance to the collaboration suite to the backup operations, from NAS to NAS synchronization, these are genuinely fully featured devices, even with the Realtek ARM powered base level hardware inside, in a way that overshadows the hell out of this. And yes, you will need to learn more, and yes, there is a learning curve, and yes, it will use up more of your time one way or another. But in most cases, if you understand what you need and you look at the feature set and you've got a larger group of users, you think you're going to roll in surveillance, you think you're going to move all of your operation for communication, email, document handling, backups and more into a single ecosystem, man alive, the Diskstation is the best choice out there. Not just here up between these two, but across a lot of other NAS brands in the market right now. There is a reason Synology is a name in cloud that you have heard of. And ultimately, between the two of them, if that sounds like something that gets you excited and you're prepared to roll your sleeves and make the most of it, these are a banging choice overall. But if it doesn't sound like something you're going to do, it sounds like something you'll play with on day one and you just want something to sit in the corner and do its job, the BeeStation is a phenomenal choice nonetheless. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Are you opting for one of these, or have you already got one? I hope you found this video helpful. If you haven't and you need more help, there's lots of options open to you. There's links to guides in the description. There's also the free advice section at NAScompares, the blue button on the right hand side of the screen, alongside the NAS builder. On top of that, you can utilise our Discord or ask.NAScompares forum. Finally, head over to Ko-Fi or Patreon for not only expedited support options and access to our membership program, where you get early access to these videos and our monthly Zoom and private exclusive content. But on top of that, you can use the consultation option where you can set up a Zoom with me or Eddie to help you spec out and understand the right storage for your needs. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.